Carl and Damon here from Brrraains A Head-Banging Life, and it is the Roughnecks. We continue the campaign talk through. They made what into a series? We're up to the third campaign, all 5 episodes of the Tophet campaign. Of course, this is Roughnecks Starship Troopers Chronicles.
Yep.
We are talking through it episode by episode, but sticking to the campaigns. And we've done Pluto. We have done Hydora. We're up to Tophet. And this is where the show gets really good, in my opinion. This has some excellent stuff. Downright brilliantly told stories with deep development that suggests that, okay, you actually aren't afraid to deal with and put characters in difficult situations. Definitely. The location, while not the most inspired, does create a new conflict that I enjoy a lot. As we joked about in the Hydora campaign, Tophet is the desert planet, as you said.
Yep.
It's basically a more arid, lifeless location.
Yeah.
Mars, almost.
Yes,
like when you look at Mars with the kind of hue that you get with it, it's that.
All deserts, and I think the water's like acid and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, it's day 198 of the Bug War, and the Roughnecks are being briefed and told that they'll be landing to check out an area for a potential base. So the whole reason they go to Tophet isn't because the bugs are there. The bugs aren't there. They're going there to potentially set up a forward base if it's not deserted. I liked it. I was like, okay, this is interesting. It shows you're expanding, but it's not always about following the bugs to the next planet. Razak is meeting Higgins again, which I thought was unnecessary. Gossard shows Dizzy a device that can possibly translate bug screeches, but Carl says bugs don't think like humans. Brutal winds him up, and Carl insults him, so they end up having a fight. I like that because up to this point, Brutal and Carl have always been clashing. And it's interesting also to see them fight. But also, it's an early suggestion that Carl isn't in control anymore. He used to be able to handle Brutal to a certain degree, and now they're actually physically fighting.
And
I like it.
He's more, I don't know, more aggressive, Carl, too.
Indeed. The bit about the device was early. I was like, okay, well, that's clearly going to come into things, you know? Razak arrives, and of course, Carl and Brutal lie about what was happening because they want to get in trouble with the chief.
Of course.
The group are dropped on the planet by Carmen and Xander. Did Xander really show up in Hydora? Briefly, I think he's in the episode with Carmen, but that's brief, about it.
Very brief,
It's weird that they're so coy with him, considering it's such an integral part he will eventually play.
Yeah, I mean, he's very... I mean, the first season he had a small part. The second season, barely. I think it's like season 4 or 5 is when he really comes into it.
You've got to stop calling these seasons. They're not. They're campaigns.
They're campaigns.
This is not season-based show. It's not.
Yeah,
you are right. Higgins runs into trouble on the planet, but Dizzy saves him. It's a desert planet, seemingly uninhabited. Even Carl can't get anything with his powers. But as the troops move out, they come across a village, and they go into it and see it seems to be deserted. But there's a village, so something was here, maybe once. Razak isn't so sure about being deserted, but we then see some sort of alien creature watching them. Higgins is excited, but him and Dizzy are attacked by a couple of these aliens. They speak in a language the troopers can't understand, but end up saving Dizzy and Higgins from some evil-looking brush. Like a plant or something?
Yeah, that was.
That was weird. It's the only time it shows up in this show.
Yeah.
One offers Dizzy a hand, the rest of the Roughnecks arrive, and Dizzy calms things down. They're clearly not enemies. Carl tries to get a read on them, but struggles due to their confusing minds. Razak insists they continue onwards with their mission, and the aliens keep them company. They're taken inside a building where more of the aliens arrive, and they're brought to a throne where Higgins tries to film it. However, they shoot out of his hand, destroying it. Presumably they thought it was a weapon. Yeah. Brutal calls it a skinny, which will now be the nickname of these aliens. We will be referring to them as skinnies. Razak sends Doc and Dizzy to do recon outside. Gossard comes up with the idea of using his talk box to communicate with the skinnies. What convenience. He clips it to the leader and they're able to communicate. Razak introduces himself, and the head skinny says there are no bugs on the planet as they've all died because of the atmosphere. Alright.
Believable.
Yeah. Razak reports back and is told that they'll still be using it as a place to set up a base. Higgins and Rico talk about the lack of bugs and wonder where all the corpses are. Buried them? They ate them? They destroyed them?
Maybe they never even come to the planet.
Exactly. Happily, they find out, though, as bugs actually erupt from the ground. It was a trap all along. The troopers start shooting, and as Razak calls it in, he's attacked by the skinnies, so they're baddies. I like the twist. I liked it. Obviously, if you've seen it before, you know it's coming. But for the first time, I think, oh, yeah, interesting. Okay, because you're like, why would they be working with the bugs? He uses a smoke grenade to give the troopers a chance to escape. The corpses of the bugs make good cover from the Skinny's attack too. The rest of the troops are heading into land, but they can't raise Razak. And he tries to call them to tell them not to land, but their radio is getting interference. They continue to do smoke grenades and head deeper into the village, but are being pursued by bugs too. So it's a real problem because you've got bugs and you've got Skinny shooting at you.
Yep.
Rico is ordered to climb high and set up flares to warn the landing fleet. We see that the bugs are lying on wait right by the fleet's landing spot. I like that. It's
Really
like,
cool,
okay,
so
yeah.
It'll be a massacre down there.
Yeah, exactly. Rico has been attacked by the Skinnies, but manages to break into a building and make his way upstairs. He sees the fleet arriving, but is able to get higher as more bugs arrive up the wall. He quickly lights the flare, and Carmen sees it, and the fleet call off their landing at the last minute. I really like this.
Yeah.
It's quite tense, and it also kind of reminds me... It's a weird reference. It's a really weird reference. I'm going to reference The Rock.
Yes, I know. Nicolas Cage.
The movie, the 90s movie The Rock, where Nicolas Cage last minute on his knees and gets the flares. Although they actually drop a missile.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is that close for Rico as the fleet fly over him.
Yeah, it's good.
You know, it's a good scene. Rico is in trouble though as bugs have reached the roof. Dizzy arrives though and saves them, and the pair are able to hold off the bugs long enough to swing down using Rico's grapple. Xander and Carmen return and pick up the Roughnecks using what they call a hook and ladder device, the first time it is being used. An obvious way to get troopers out of a hot area quickly. Higgins reflects on that changing war, the Skinnies allying with the bugs, and that is episode 1 done. Let's quickly go back to the hook and ladder. Love it.
Yep.
I love the idea that they're developing new technology to deal with issues, and the idea that, look, this is like a seated thing, it drops, you all get in, and then it hooks and pulls you up into the air.
It's really cool.
So, really cool.
Especially, I don't know if it's Xander, it says, or Razak, that basically, if they miss, we're dead.
Yeah, it's like a one-shot thing. Yeah, like it needs a good pilot. I like it. It's a clever thing to get troopers out of an instantly dangerous area. I was down with it. I also like this episode as well. This is a strong episode that sets up this new campaign really strongly and introduces a new set of villains, which is so... At the third campaign, it's like, oh, this is really interesting because it creates questions. Why are they allied with the bugs?
Exactly.
What are they getting out of it? You know, and so on. That kind of thing. If you know Starship Troopers history, you're probably a bit like, are they being mind controlled? But you can't quite work out how and why it happens.
Yep.
I really like it.
Yeah, definitely.
Episode 2, day 19 of the Tophet campaign. And we see that Razak may be suffering PTSD. And straight away I was like, shit, we're going to do something deep here. Down with this? Absolutely, of course. How many troopers would be suffering from PTSD? Of course, Higgins is watching back his footage. His reports are designed to be uplifting, but the focus is on Razak, and he thinks it'll win him an award. So we're now getting a little bit more about what Higgins' actual goal is. And he thinks he's going to get an award for this report, as he's focused so heavily on Razak and his behaviour and actions and stuff like that. Razak arrives and sends him to be Gossard's test subject, and the latter is testing out the Skinny Constrictor weapon. So we didn't talk about it in the last episode, but let's do it now. The Skinny's weapon shoots out this kind of goo that wraps around you and starts to crush it. Constricts you.
Constricts the air.
Yeah, holds you in place. But also chokes the air out of you. It's interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Higgins wants an interview with Razak, who tells him he can have it if he earns it. They head out on a skimmer to check out an area. They come across a dust storm, and Razak tells Higgins to take them in for a brief bit of action. Razak then sees an army of blister bugs reporting it in. So we now got blister bugs in this as well. The plan is for it to be bombed, but before Razak and Higgins can leave, their skimmer crashes. Rico and Dizzy want to go get them, but Brutal says it's against orders. Carl tells them that they're alive though, so Brutal ends up agreeing to go in and get them. So I thought it was interesting Brutal agreeing to something happening with Carl.
Yeah.
Particularly their conflict.
I mean, this is a great episode, I know, because it's a powerful one. But I mean, the fact that Bruto is going against orders too, also.
It's a bit too easy to sort of go like, okay, well they're alive, so we should go in and get them.
Yeah, I mean, he's a sergeant. He's second in command, and if they die, he's getting reprimanded.
Yeah. But you know, we know they're not dying, so we knew we need to get them out. So the plan is for the area to be bombed, but before Razak and Higgins can leave, there's... Oh, I've already done that bit. Shit, sorry. Razak and Higgins don't actually know this, of course, though. An airstrike is coming, and basically they're where the airstrike is going to land. Razak says they'll head to a nearby outpost to radio, but they're in bug country. I was quite excited by this. I was like, Razak and Higgins together. This should create some interesting conflicts.
Definitely.
The rest of the Roughnecks set out to try and find him, going through a thick, dead forest. Love this imagery.
Yes, yeah.
Really, really cool looking place. They're attacked by skinnies who are trying to take the ship down with their constrictor weapons. And it does actually damage the ship, and they crash land too. Outside the ship, they're attacked by skinnies, but manage to hold them off. Gossard is hit though, and his latest experimentation, something that dissolved as constrictor liquid, actually works.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, cool, more developments. Razak and Higgins are pursued by bugs and arrive at a river of boiling liquid. Yeah. Visually, this episode has some cool new things.
Definitely, yeah.
So this is really interesting. Razak injures a bug and comes at the idea of basically knocking it into the river and using it to float down it. I'm like, okay, it's a risk, but you're surrounded by bugs, probably better. The rest of the Roughnecks find their tracks and start to follow, ignoring Fleet's orders to leave the planet. There's a problem.
Yes.
Pretty sure that would have them reprimanded.
Yep.
Razak and Higgins' ride begins to melt, so they're forced to jump off, and we see Razak's metal arm dip slightly into it and be damaged. And Higgins uses this opportunity to ask how he lost his arm. And we get a flashback of when Razak lost his arm during a bug assault on Pluto. Yep. And I'm like, yeah, man, this is the stuff. Deep, tell us how this happened.
Yeah, exactly.
The rest of the Roughnecks are watching an armada of bugs move through a valley. Karma reports to Xander that Roughnecks haven't reported in, and then Xander insists the attack has to continue. He's not wrong.
Yep.
He's not wrong. Razak and Higgins have arrived at the outpost, but have been followed by a lot of bugs. Higgins makes the call, which is picked up by the others, as Razak tries to hold off the bugs. They start to come in through the roof, though, and the bombing run is about to start. Xander gives Carmen 10 minutes to go and find the Roughnecks, so it's not unreasonable.
Nope.
You've got 10 minutes to go find them. It looks very dark for Razak and Higgins, but the rest of the Roughnecks arrive to save them, just in time. Convenient, but fair enough.
Yeah.
Carmen is almost there as Xander and his lot head off to start the bombing. It's going to be close, that much is clear. Especially as the bugs just keep coming. I do like the scale of the bugs in this episode, though. Yeah. The Roughnecks make their way to the roof for their final stand, but Carmen arrives. Everyone gets on except Razak, who is knocked below. Xander and his group drop their bombs. He manages to jump for the ship, and Higgins grabs his arm. But the damaged metal arm begins to snap. I thought, what an interesting touch as well. Definitely. But Higgins is able to hold on to his other hand and pull him aboard. The ship takes off as the bombs detonate, wiping out all the bugs. The last part sees Dizzy suggest that Carl didn't really know if they were alive, and he ignores her. So he may have just been taking a chance. And we see Higgins deciding to delete the personal footage he took of Razak. So his time with Razak on the planet and learning about the loss of his arm and the battles and the conversations they had him convinced that he shouldn't expose Razak in such a way. He shouldn't basically show the world that Razak's suffering from PTSD.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, this episode had a lot for me. It built up Higgins and Razak's respect for each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it also shows that Carl's powers are having a bit of problems because he didn't know they were alive.
Yeah, agreed.
So it's showing a lot more development.
It's stepping forward. It's stepping rather than standing in place and or doing a baby step. It's taking strides forward with stuff, and this is what I want from this show. I want to develop the characters. I want to get to know them a bit deeper. I want to see the relationships grow and bond. And while we aren't really going to get that this next episode, we are going to get what is arguably one of the best Roughnecks episodes. Well, I can't believe, given a short amount of time, they create a story / character you will give a shit about, and you really shouldn't. Mm-hmm. Day 27 of the campaign. Higgins has still been excluded from the squad while Brrraains and Carl continue to get into it, constantly butting heads. If you're getting frustrated by that, right? Brrraains and Carl, bear with it. This is the long game.
Yes.
And a very important long game, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Something I initially wasn't too sure I was enjoying, because I was like, guys, you're supposed to be professionals, get over it. But I realised they're playing a long game here for a different part of a story development with these guys.
Yep.
Razak arrives with new orders. The orders are to take a valley pass that the bugs use so that the troopers can use it instead. Simple enough. War. They're given a new troop, though. A robot. One that can learn and can talk. Everyone is naturally sceptical of working with it. The robot says it will stand watch as it doesn't need to sleep, but Dizzy's cheekiness has Razak order her to relieve it in a few hours. I like that. Razak really don't stand for no shit.
No.
And he's like, you start mouthing off, right? Cool. Robert doesn't need relieve him, but you're going to do it nonetheless. Later, the Roughnecks are moving out. Razak orders a break and tells Carl he will take point afterwards. However, the robot suggests it's a bad decision, as he will be better it will be better on point. Razak is not happy and orders the robot to take up the rear, which it does. So yeah, we do this thing where the robot constantly questions orders because it can see a more logical and better one, but Razak does not like his orders being questioned.
No, of course not.
He's trying to treat the robot like a trooper, and the robot keeps want to be treated like a robot, basically. Continuing on to the Tophet Sun, the robot criticizes Higgins' performance too as they climb a mountain. An earthquake disturbs things though, and Higgins falls but is grabbed by the robot. Safe from the top, Higgins remarks to Rico that it saved his life, but Rico says that it's a machine. Like, Rico's got no time for this robot at all.
Rico's character, so he's a dick for a lot of this.
He's a dick a lot of the show.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
He really is.
Yeah.
Afterwards, Higgins tries to communicate with it, explaining to it that it's important to become part of the team. He gives it the name of Chaz, because it's short for like its longer name, and tries to teach it some of the trooper lingo. It doesn't do much though. Carla's having trouble here, and we start to grow this development, and seems to freak out, suggesting they're surrounded by bugs. Nothing is around them though at first, but then bugs do actually arrive. And we meet a new one that can shoot fireballs called a blaster bug. So blaster bugs are now introduced, and obviously Carl, well, he was right. It's almost like on the, as Brew would say, it's on the fritz.
Yeah.
You know, because he was too early. Everyone is impressed as the troops take formation, start shooting, and Chaz goes on a rampage, breaking formation and killing the bugs with ease. Like I said, everyone is impressed. Higgins films it and suggests it is the trooper of tomorrow. So you've got this whole thing, will it end up replacing... Because you're like, well, yeah, why would you send in mobile infantry if you've got robots that can do this? The Roughnecks arrive at a skinny outpost, and Chaz points out that it was recently bombed. Razak insists his gut says otherwise, and Chaz offers to scout. It turns out that Razak was right, as Carl is hit by constrictor fluid from skinny shooters. Rico orders Chaz to get Carl, but he walks off instead. And we see it flanking the skinnies as Rico arrives to save Carl. Rico shouts at Chaz, who suggests that Carl was an acceptable loss. Ooh, cold as ice.
He's a robot, though.
Everyone now turns on the machine. Razak orders it to carry on making a sweep. Higgins tries to defend it, and we see that it is listening to their conversation about destroying it. And I was starting to think, oh, is it going to defend itself? Yes. Presumably it will have a thing, built into it. Later, the Roughnecks are above the past and see too many bugs. Chaz brings up acceptable losses again, but this time it is Higgins who tells them there can be no acceptable losses.
He's right.
Of course there were no acceptable losses, yeah. The Roughnecks carry on planning to get ahead of the pass. Chaz saves Higgins and then embarrasses Rico. So that was quite fun. Yeah. Fuck you, Rico. As they carry on, Chaz points out that it's a trap and shows them that they're about to walk across a minefield. As they try to decide what to do, bugs start to arrive from the rear, so it's a difficult position. Big minefield, bugs come behind you, what are you going to do? Chaz then starts to run through the minefield. Rico isn't happy and tries to almost shoot him, but it turns out it's actually marking a safe path through the minefield. Rico, man, you do not like robots.
I always wonder why Carl couldn't detect it. Is it because his mind's going...
Let's say it's that. Yeah, let's say it's that. The squad... And is it they're not living beings, so it may be harder for Carl?
Yeah, probably.
The squad make their way across, but are almost undone by a grenade going off and causing a chain reaction. Higgins is blasted away and ends up stepping on a fucking mine. And obviously it's one of the trigger mines, so while his foot's on it, it won't go off, but once he removes his foot, it will explode. Chaz goes to save him, though, taking care of the bugs before replacing its weight with Higgins. Are you ready to cry?
It's quite
sad. The choice of music, the way the music plays, the conversation that now happens. Chaz told Higgins that some losses just aren't acceptable before telling the rest to leave and it will cover their retreat. Instead, they all stand and watch as it draws the bugs in before detonating the mine.
Yeah, it plays some sort of tune, doesn't it?
It stands in a position, combat position, to draw the bugs in. And then it says troopers before stepping off the mine. It's like it learnt through conversation, listening to them, that okay, I'm an acceptable loss. Yeah. Because of what I can do and so on. I kind of think it's surprisingly moving.
It is, yeah.
And you're like, oh shit, I cared. Mm-hmm. And also the impact it has on the squad. Yeah. Where it's kind of no one really says anything, but it's like, oh, we lost one of ours.
Apart from Rico, I think everyone, including Razak, who was a bit harder than him.
Yeah.
And obviously Higgins, but Rico's still Rico.
Well, the Roughnecks finally leave as the rest of the mines start to go off, and we hear that the MI took the pass and the bug army was split in two, so something that will help them win this battle. We also hear that Chaz's sacrifice endeared him to the Roughnecks, and that the cost of... So basically, the cost and destruction of Chaz made management go, nah, no more, it's going to be made, too expensive. I think Higgins even says, like, MI troopers are a lot cheaper,
exactly.
you know, and more replaceable.
Yep.
It's a very good episode. It's a good episode that's sort of almost a standalone one, because it doesn't continue a lot of what happens in Tophet, beside the splitting of the pass. I really liked it. It was my favourite episode so far.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But we are going to continue with this strong stuff as we hit day 83 of the campaign. So this one is a long one. 83 days in. And it's back to Bruto and Carl, still having issues. Bruto is suggesting to Raze that Carl is going to cause them problems. Rico tries to stick up front, but Dizzy points out that Carl hasn't been the same since Hydoria. And like the fact that Carl's sort of sitting there rocking. I'm very disappointed in Razak here.
Yes.
Carl is a liability. He should be left behind. He shouldn't be brought out.
I can only think that, I mean, my answer for that is, and it's not a good enough answer, is that he's part of the team, but he's going to put your team at risk.
Nah, it's not a good enough answer. You're right. Exactly. I know what you're saying, but just because you lose 2 legs and still alive, you're part of the team, but you're not going to be able to fucking fight, are you? Brewers then mean to Higgins and pushes him over, but it allows Higgins to see Skinnies are on the ridge above. I like that. It pushes him over. When Higgins falls down, he notices Skinnies are above them. They start shooting with a new weapon that seems to paralyse the troopers, with several taken out immediately. The Roughnecks are in trouble, and while they try to recover, they're all taken down and captured. They wake up in some sort of cell with all their weapons and communications taken. Razak wonders, why are we still alive? Carl is going nuts and keeps repeating that the mind is the master and the mastermind is coming. Yeah. Bruto gets in his face, but Rico tells him to back off. Bruto then knocks him over and they end up having a fight before Razak breaks it up.
See, I like Bruto. But you're a sergeant, for Christ's sake, man.
Have more self-control.
Exactly, seriously, man.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're my sergeant, I'm demoting you.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. He is constantly arguing and fighting.
He's a great character and he gets a lot better.
Oh, this is an episode where he does get a lot better.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Rico finds an alien ferret-like creature that comes from a small alcove. It's like it's a ferret, basically. Yeah. The door then opens and Skinnies arrive. The ferret is grabbed by a Skinny, but has a natural ability to electrocute them. It gives the troopers a brief window, but the Skinnies use paralysis sticks to deal with them, taking Carl away and going to town on Bruto. So they take Carl and beat the shit out of Bruto. I do like that.
Maybe they agree.
He's a prick. The Skinnies leave, taking Bruto with them, locking the door behind him. So Carl and Bruto have been taken out. The ferret then comes back to Rico, and Rico wonders if they can follow it out. The gap is too small though, so Gossard suggests they use their power suit batteries and a spark of the ferret to blow a bigger hole. They will have an hour of air reserve to get out once they enact their plan. Cool. Yep. I like the plan. Alright, it's a convenient ferret to turn up for the spark. Yeah. But hey, we have a 20-minute episode. I don't mind conveniences. Yeah. We see that Bruto and Carl are thrown into a different cell. Carl's repeating a statement to declare that the mastermind is here is beginning to annoy Bruto, but behind him another door opens and bugs arrive. They don't kill him though.
I like it because he changes his line.
Yeah.
Because he says that
the mastermind is here. Yep. Instead, these bugs hold Bruto and Carl at bay. The Skinny leader arrives, still with his translator attached. He decided to hang on to it, and it begins to torture Bruto for information. What information it wants, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know why they chose Bruto. Maybe because obviously Carl's obviously in communication with the brain bug, so maybe
just a rat. Maybe a rat. Maybe didn't really even know the ranks.
Yeah.
The rest of the Roughnecks enact their plan and blow a big hole, giving them a chance to escape. The Skinnies are unable to follow as the door has been blocked by falling rocks. Bruto is still refusing to talk, and then the mastermind actually arrives behind another gate. And of course, I mean, you probably guessed it, it's a brain bug.
Yep.
The rest of the Roughnecks arrive at some sort of furnace, but see a way out above. Whatever this place is, it fires flames periodically, but Skinny's arriving and they have no choice but to climb. So it's kind of like a video game level almost.
Yeah.
The brain bug is going to suck Bruto's brains out. That's what it does. Gets the old straw out. Carl encourages Bruto to fight back, which he does, managing to get the upper hand on the Skinnies and allowing Carl to get free of his captors too. After defeating the Skinnies, they then turn their paralysis sticks on the brain, forcing one into its mouth and seemingly killing it. Yep. So it's a nice little fight here. They then go looking for a way out. The rest of the Roughnecks are almost safe as the pit gets ready to erupt. Their suits offer some protection as they're blasted out onto the surface. Yeah, all action-packed, quite snappy, quite... Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Razak orders them to go back in, though, to find Brrraains and Carl. But those two are making their way through the facility, finding their weapons. Carl and Brrraains are beginning to bond through their experience, but do meet up with the rest of the Roughnecks. Now they just need to get a pickup because they're running out of suit juice. Do they make it? Have you seen this show before? Of course they do, but not before dealing with more skinnies and bugs. It's a close call for Rico, but the ferret gives the suit a jolt of energy, ending the episode. Love it. Love it. Another strong episode. Yeah, I was loving the Tophet campaign here. From the first one with the setup of the entire location to Razak and Higgins' journey in the second, to the robot, to Chaz in the third, to this, the development of Bruto and Carl, but also the pushing Carl further along and the introduction of the brain bug.
Yeah,
great.
So it also shows you that when the brain bug died, it sort of sparked Carl back a bit. Yep. But obviously he's still I don't know whether the word is loopy.
Yeah. We are coming to the end now of this campaign with day 89. We see rolling battles between troopers and bugs. The Roughnecks are under fire from blaster bugs, but they've managed to work out how much time is between the blasts. Carl is still in a rough place, and he snaps at Rico and Dizzy. Razak, for me, I was like, man, he should have dealt with this problem. Yeah. He shouldn't be here. Like, this is bad leadership. It paints Razak in a poor light.
Yeah, which is a shame because obviously he is a very good leader.
Yeah, but this, like, bringing Carl when he's this dangerous is not good. Carmen and Xander arrive to blow up the blaster bugs, but their missile blows up early, leaving the Roughnecks still in trouble. It turns out the blasters have a heat shield that expands when in a group. I thought that was an interesting idea.
Very clever.
Gossard reveals they have new equipment, which is basically shields. The plan is to get close using them and blow up the blasters from within. Okay. The shields offer some protection, not complete protection, some. That's quite important. And Rico does what Rico always does by using his as a surfboard to drop a bomb under the bugs, blowing them up. Yeah, I didn't really like that.
No.
It was a bit like, oh, that's a bit silly.
Yeah.
Because, like, the problem is the front of the shield isn't smooth and clear like a surfboard. You can't just ride like a surfboard. You get caught.
No.
After they arrive at a pit, and Carl insists that something is there. Brewer argues but ends up falling in when the floor collapses. He finds himself in a cave where the top skinny is sitting. They capture him, but he just runs down humanity over and over again. Carl is ordered to try and get in his head. He does, but has a really, really bad reaction, whereas he says he heard two voices inside his head. Gossard scans him and finds that there's a bug inside the skinny. And right there and then, it bursts out of his body, and the rest try to capture it, but it escapes. Razak sends everyone to find it, leaving Higgins to watch the prisoner. So we get kind of like I think something designed to be more suspenseful. Yes. Alien style, as the Roughnecks try to hunt down this bug and find it without killing. Like they're looking in corners, it's dark, that kind of thing. Higgins ends up being distracted though and starts to film the prisoner, who then breaks free and knocks Higgins out. And I was like, God damn it, Higgins. Idiot. As Carl and Dizzy are about to capture the bug, the skinny leader comes along and starts to shoot. It wants revenge, but everyone naturally thinks it's starting to fight like it wants to fight them. Yep. Carl is attacked by the mind control bug and finally snaps using his powers to suspend it in air before blowing it up. It takes it out and he then collapses.
This scene here is a bit, if you haven't seen it before, but this scene here is a big scene for the next campaign.
Well, of course, yeah. He ends up in a coma and is sent away to be looked at. Rico attacks the skinny leader but is stopped by Razak. The skinny then tries to explain that his people are slaves who are under the bug's control. The bugs are using them in the mines to refuel the transport bug. Yep. There it all is. Yep. Wonderful. I have one problem though. The bugs that come out of the skinnies are huge. Quite big. They're quite big. Yep. That would hurt as fuck. And you never see them really hurt afterwards.
No.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, it bursts for like the back of them. Neck or something like that.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, maybe there's a hole there. Something like
I don't know. Yeah. It's a small sort of picking, but it bothered me, The Roughnecks are heading off to stop it, but not happy to be working with the skinny. They land far enough away to be detected, but run into guards. So what the skinny leader does is pretty cool. He pretends to betray the Roughnecks, but it's actually just a ruse to get close enough to get the mind control bugs out of his the ones that are still under their control.
Yep.
The Roughnecks then kill the bugs and find out that there is a plasma bug also in the mine. So it's like, well, this is just great.
Yeah, of course.
They head inwards, coming across slaves being forced to work until they drop. The Roughnecks then see the transport bug and the plasma bug. The squad is split up to deal with the different threats. Any hope of it being sneaky, though, is lost when mind control bugs just start attacking. They do manage to deal with the skinnies, freeing them before blocking up the plasma bug with the constrictor weapons. Like that idea, shooting it across its butt. They then begin to attack the transport bug, but it begins to take off. Rico and Dizzy jump on top of it, and Rico puts a bomb on it. As the transport bug leaves the cave, they get off, and it detonates, and the bomb destroys the transport bug. I bet that's a fucking shock if you're at this point.
Yeah.
Can't expect that thing to be a continuous event.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's not.
Nope.
And the Tophet campaign ends with the skinnies free and the transport bug destroyed. So it kind of feels like a turning point for humanity.
Yeah.
Control of Tophet, the allied of the skinnies, and the transport bug destroyed.
Yep. So I said that was a big campaign. A big plus for the show.
Yeah. We should note, like, the kind of sort of shot of Carl being sort of in a coma, loaded and sent away, kind of is impactful as fuck. That's quite an impactful thing. It shows one of the squad, like, running into enough trouble that he's gone.
Oh, I want to say something.
No, you don't. I know what you want to say, but you don't. You don't want to spoil stuff.
Is it a spoiler?
Yes, of course it's a spoiler. It's a spoiler.
I'm not going to say. Yeah.
It's a spoiler. Yeah. No, we talk about it when we get to that campaign. It's not going to take too long. Tophet, strongest one yet.
Yeah.
Strongest one yet for sure. Better than Pluto. Better than Hydoia. Better than both of them by some distance.
Only get stronger then, going forward.
And I will realise that, of course, Tophet, part of the reason it works is because it's giving you character development for characters that's already created. Yep. So it's not like you could do that out of thing. But I feel like every episode has something happening in it that feels impactful. But I also like they changed things up. And I'm not just talking about bringing the skinnies in. They kill a brain bug earlier.
Yep.
That's not the end goal of this episode. It's dealt with earlier and it's just gone. If there's going to be loads of brain bugs, which is what Carl said, then they're not big bad villains. No. They're just another bug.
Exactly, yeah.
Absolutely. But by then having to transport the bug taken out, you're like, oh, wow, okay. So that changes the sort of balance. That shifts the balance as well. But in the same way, it's like they both had losses.
Yeah, exactly.
Transport bug out of the way, but they lost Carl as well. But ultimately, I enjoy this one simply for the story-based stuff more than anything else.
Yeah, definitely.
Not the overarching one, but the stuff that involved Carl and Bruto. We didn't mention it, but in the episode, at the very, very end, Carl goes to go to sleep on the thing and puts his head on Bruto's shoulder, and Bruto lets it happen. Yeah. That's fucking adorable. And I felt like I cared, because I felt like I was beginning to finally be along with these characters for the ride.
Yeah,
you know, definitely. I'm no longer struggling with names. I'm not looking and going, oh, what's Gossard doing, what's Bruto doing, and so on. Some do need work, though.
Yeah, I mean,
Doc and Gossard are two that are basically getting fuck all.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in the later season something does happen with them.
Right? You need to stop doing that. Jumping ahead. We're talking about Tophet.
Well, I mean,
right now, Doc is the one with the least development.
Yes.
But you know who else is really getting hurt? Rico and Dizzy.
Yeah.
Like Rico and Dizzy.
Well, this campaign was more about building. I mean, it was about Carl, Bruto,
Razak,
and Higgins. Yeah.
Which I appreciate because I appreciate, and I'm telling you off, but I'm about to do it. I'm about to say because I know there are bigger things coming for other characters. You're right. So it was quite nice, fresh to jump to other ones, but develop them. Yeah. Razak PTSD stuff. Bruto, perhaps why he's so angry all the time, but his fact that he gives a shit about Carl as well. Obviously, what happens to Carl and so on. Higgins, the fact that he makes a decision like I don't need to expose a respected leader and his problems to the world. It's all very, very good stuff, but visually it's nice to be doing something so different as well in the Tophet campaign. Absolutely. I like it. I love it. I love it. It's been my favourite one so far. What's the name of the next one?
Okay, so...
It's the jungle planet, isn't it? It's the jungle level.
Which is odd. It's Zephyr's the
Zephyr, isn't it?
Zephyr's the asteroid.
Oh, yes, it is.
Kendafo is the home world.
Earth,
which is the homecoming one.
It's the one up between. We can't remember what it is.
Tesla.
Oh yeah. Tesla. Okay, there we go. So we'll be there for the next video. What do you think of this campaign? What do you think of the Tophet campaign? You know what to do? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon and help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?